This is Dan Stewart for your NORAM Asset Management Market Update, Friday, July 22nd, 2010. Well, it was another good day on Wall Street today. The Dow was up 101 points to 10,423. The S&P was up 9 to 1102, and the NASDAQ was up 23.5 to 2269. This was the first time in over a month the Dow went above 1100. The volume on the New York Stock Exchange was 5.16 billion. The NASDAQ was almost 2.3 billion, so volume was healthy. Finally, we got a good increase in volume. Gold was down $7 to $11.88. Silver was down a penny, it was flat. And oil was down 29 cents to $79.01. Treasuries prices were down because yields were up. People were taking money out of bonds and putting them in stocks. The 5-year yield was 1.73. The 10-year was 2.99, but still under 3%. And the 30-year was 4.02. So the 30-year went over 4%. The US dollar was down against the euro and the pound, but it was up against the yen. Thus far, you've had positive earnings surprises from 126 companies and negative surprises on 22 of the S&P 500. Surprised? You think they manage earnings? Over in Europe, it was up across the board with the exception of UK, which was flat, and Italy, which was down a little under 0.5%. But the European markets were already closed when the stress tests were announced. Although all but 9 banks failed the stress test, it was hardly a stress test at all. It was just a little minor downturn and a slowdown in GDP. It didn't even take in consideration just one country default, or even a major downturn in GDP. How will analysts look at that over the weekend? We'll see on Monday. Over in Asia, the markets were up. The big winner was Japan, up 2.25%. South Korea up 1.3%, and Australia was up 1.8%. The Asian markets were riding the coattails of Caterpillar's earnings yesterday after the bell. But the big stories today that nobody's talking about. Just a few days ago, Malaysia announced that they were going to back their currency with gold. This will be the first country in the world to actually do so. Indonesia has already pressed them 24,000 bars. It looks like they're going to follow through with the gold standard. Will other countries follow? But even a bigger story, China is seriously talking about moving to a basket of currencies. Remember, just a few weeks ago we found out that China and Japan were net sellers of Treasuries. What will this do to the US dollar? You better pay attention, because it could change your life permanently. This has been Dan Stewart for your NORAM Asset Management Market Update, Friday, July 22nd, 2010.